Yeah, hello. Uh, Let us discuss about organizational structures and the power equations. So you take a project, we have consultants working on the project, regulatory bodies, suppliers, owners, contractors, and subcontractors. This is a sample list of stakeholders within a project, and each one of them may have their own uh, type of organization, unique type of organization structure. Consulting companies generally they have very flat kind of a organization structure, or startup companies they have very flat organization structure. So they belong to this organic or symbol structures. Regulatory bodies also, sometimes if it is a large organization, very often it can be either functional or organic. Suppliers, especially for long lead items, they are manufacturing organizations. So most of the manufacturing organizations will have functional organization structures. Owner companies, again, it depends. If the owner is a manufacturing company, they will have a functional organization structure. If the owner itself is a project-based company, then in that case, okay, they will have a projectized organization. Or if the owner company is a product-based organization, they may have a matrix organization structure. So by and large, especially for EPC projects, the owners can have, most probably it will be a functional organization. Contractors, especially EPC contractors, they will have projectized, project-oriented structures, and subcontractors also project-oriented structures. Then we have virtual teams. Primarily, this is about working remotely distributed teams. So if I have a team working from India and maybe from the Middle East and from Singapore, all working on the same project, that is an example for a virtual team. Then hybrid teams. In some organizations, some part of the organizations can be functional, some other part or a division can be matrix, some other division can be projectized. So they have a kind of a hybrid kind of organization structures. Then we have PMO based organization. The entire organization itself is in the form of a project management office. Now, this is a typical example for a functional organization. Most of the manufacturing organizations will have this kind of a structure. So we have a chief executive officer at the top. Then we have functional manager 1, functional manager 2, functional manager 3. Now this can be VP marketing, VP operations, VP maintenance. Now if I'm implementing an SAP kind of an ERP kind of an application here, most probably I'll get borrowed resources from these functional departments, and they'll work for me. If I am the project manager for the project, they will work for me for the project related things. And at the end of the project, they will all go back to their respective functional departments. So in a functional organization, most probably these functional managers will have more authority than the project managers. And again, if the team member is working in a functional organization, maybe at the end of the project, that particular staff can go back to its respective function. So if you are working in a functional organization, you have long-term career prospects and plans and stuff like that. So at the end of the project, you have home to go back. So that is an advantage of functional organization. At the same time, if you are a project manager in a functional organization, it is a support service. That means you may not have a lot of authority. Let us move on. Now this is a typical project-based organization. Whatever is happening in that organization is a project. So here we have program, and project B and C are part of this program. Then we have another project A, which is also part of this program, and that project is subdivided into sub-project 1 and sub-project 2, and here we have another project. So this is an example of a projectized organizations. So whatever they do is a project. So if you are a project manager within a projectized organization, then you may have a lot of authority level. So if you are a project manager within a contract, EPC contracting main contractor or subcontractor, you will command a lot of power because you are the breadwinner. Then we have this matrix kind of an organization structure. Here every team member will have a kind of a dual reporting. That means for the project related things, this person will report here, as well as for the function related things, that person may report here. So most of the engineering teams may have this kind of an approach, because engineers will be, for the project related things, that engineers will report to the project manager. At the same time, for technology related things, they may report to the CTO or Chief Technology Officer. Okay, so wherever you see a dual reporting, or whenever we hear things like a dotted line reporting, that is an indication of a matrix organization structure. And the matrix itself can be subdivided into strong matrix, weak matrix, and balanced matrix. In a strong matrix, the project manager will have more authority than the functional manager. In a weak matrix, the functional manager will have more authority than the project manager. Whereas in a balanced matrix, both the functional manager and the project manager will share the same amount of authority between them. Most of the product companies which needs cross-functional skill sets, you will see a matrix organization structure. And depending on who is powerful and who is powerless, relatively, it can be a strong matrix, weak matrix, or a balanced matrix. Understanding the stakeholders and understanding their organization structures will help us to classify the stakeholders better based on the power and the interest matrix. So an organic or simple organization structure, most probably the head of that team can be the owner of the company as well. So if your customer is an organic, if you are part of an organic or simple structure, most probably the owner of the company falls into high power, high interest. If you are a functional organization, or if your client is a functional organization, or if your supplier is a functional organization, most probably that functional manager will fall into a high power, high interest category. And a multi-divisional organization like Toyota India, Toyota Japan, Toyota Australia, Toyota Middle East kind of an organization structure, then again the functional managers fall into high power, high interest category. And in a matrix structure, if it is a strong matrix, the project manager will fall into a high power, high interest. In a weak matrix, the functional manager will fall into high power, high interest. In a balance matrix, maybe both the project manager and the functional manager will belong to the high power, high interest segment. And in a projectized organization, all the project managers will fall into this high power, high interest category. Hybrid, it could be anything, because department wise the organization structures can differ. So based on the organization types, they may fall into any of these 4 categories. And in PMO, the PMO chief will be part of high power, high interest category. So knowing the stakeholders is one thing, and before categorizing the stakeholders into high power, high interest, and high power, low interest, and low power, high interest, and low power, low interest, before that, if we can understand the organization structures of the stakeholders, most probably our classification of the stakeholders into these 4 quadrants, or 4 quadrants or segments, can be more accurate. Now so to summarize, we discussed about various organization type. So basically it was functional organization, matrix organization, projectized organization, and within the matrix we discussed about strong matrix, weak matrix, and the balance matrix. Then we discussed about virtual organizations. We discussed about projectized organization. We discussed about a PMO based organization. We discussed about virtual teams, and we discussed about simple organization structures, and divisional organization structures, and hybrid organization structures. Now if you are pursuing, if you are watching this video as part of your PMP preparatory program, and you want to earn those 36 contact hours, then please analyze. This is an assignment for you. Analyze your organization and identify which type of organization structure best reflects your organization structure. So you can say my organization is of functional nature because then you explain the justification for that. So post it as a comment below the video. Once you do that, you will be you will be eligible for approximately 30, that is half a PDU. That means you would have spent 15 minutes in watching this video and another 15 minutes in doing this assignment. So put together you will earn 0.5 hours contact hours. Thank you very much.